Hello everyone, Juxtaposition here. Today's video will be entitled Transhumanism. Alright, and I was watching late night television and came across a Twilight Zone episode that was aired November 8th, 1963, 2 weeks before John Fitzgerald Kennedy had his head blown off and his brains blown out onto the trunk of the Ford Lincoln limousine in the Port Authority known as Dealey Plaza, Dallas, Texas. 2 weeks before that, Rod Serling's CBS Evil Masonic Eye sponsored television show went out over the airwaves. They presented an episode entitled The Old Man in the Cave. Yes, it did. And it starred a James Colburn, who played a NATO military officer, along with three of his countrymen who, his New World Order countrymen, wandered into a village that had survived thermonuclear war. And there was a group of people who were survivors, and they were taking orders from the old man in the cave. And the soldiers couldn't believe that there was an old man in the cave without food or water. So anyway, they ended up using hand grenades and explosives and blew the doors down, went into the cave and discovered that it was a computer, that it was a HAL 9000, for lack of a better description, a artificial intelligence computer. I don't know where it received its electricity, but essentially it was the computer using artificial intelligence, quantum mechanics, issuing orders to the tribal leaders, who was a Jewish man by the name of Mr. Goldsmith. And Mr. Goldsmith was the one who took orders from the computer and then communicated it to the townspeople and kept them alive for 10 years during a nuclear fallout. Anyway, once the James Colburn character and his military men blew up the locked, secure door, the townspeople threw stones and used baseball bats to beat the computer into a blithering pile of debris. So there were no more artificial intelligence commands coming out of this transhuman society. And then the camera pans back and then pans forward, and virtually everyone in the town is dead except for the Jewish man, Mr. Goldsmith, who was the one who coordinated the computer in the first place. And he survived, but all four of the NATO soldiers died, and all of the town people died. And the lesson that was depicted by Mr. Goldsmith was that when you have a society that is faithlessness, has nothing to believe and hope, they perish. That's the point of the story, is that even if there isn't an old man in a cave, if there's a computer in there issuing orders, that society and humanity can live on. I find it a perverted message. All right, so anyway, getting back to transhumanization, in 2022, in August, we had the Anne Heche fiery car crash that never happened in real life. But the last photograph depicting Anne Heche with her red wig was in the Richard Glass hair salon in CIA military intelligence Venice Beach, which was adjacent to Muscle Beach, where Arnold Schwarzenegger became a steroid beauty queen. And that is one parking lot away from the CIA drug distribution center known as the Satan's Slaves Clubhouse. Let me correct that. Straight Satan's Clubhouse, featuring Danny DiCarlo as the treasurer of the Straight Satans. They work in conjunction with the Satan Slaves, which their clubhouse is in San Fernando Valley, north of Burbank, in the porn area of Hollywood. Anyway, you should know that in the photograph of Anne Heche and Richard Glass, the owner of Glass Hair Design, between their heads is the lazy 8. In other words, it's an 8 turned sideways, which is the symbol in mathematics for infinity. In other words, an 8 on its side symbolizes infinity. And transhumanism is the concept that you will live forever if you're part machine, part human. So let me read you the disturbing definition, according to Wikipedia, of transhumanism. This is per Wikipedia, which is suspicious from the get-go. It is a philosophical and intellectual movement which advocates the enhancement of the human condition by developing and making widely available sophisticated technologies which can greatly enhance longevity, lifespan, and cognition, mental acuity. I know that putting aluminum parts in your body does not make you have good critical thinking skills. I know that. Transhumanist thinkers, I think a better term would be believers, they study the benefits and the potential benefits and the dangers of emerging technologies. Well, I don't think there's any time that's put into the dangers of technologies. All they care about is rolling them out. Then they find out, they use the humanity as the research lab, see who lives and see who dies. They believe that they can overcome fundamental human limitations, such as ethics, for example. That they can overcome ethics by using transhumanism, emerging technologies. That they can overcome ethics. Oh my God. Some transhumanists believe that human beings may eventually be able to transform themselves into beings with abilities so greatly expanded from their current condition as to merit the label of a post-human being. In other words, you'll become post-human. Well, all the doped Olympic records will go by the dodo bird then, right? Because it's not enough to take steroids and amphetamines. You had to use cow blood. And pretty soon, it won't be enough to have cow blood and female fertility hormones and a boatload of testosterone and corticosteroids and morphine and heroin. And it won't be enough to do that. You'll have to put an electric motor into your legs, which I think they may be doing in bike racing. I think they have electric motors in there along with the steroids and the cow blood. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you is that there's a school in New York called the New School, and that's been there since, I believe, 1919. Transhumanism was first taught there, I believe, in 1957, when we have the so-called father of transhumanism, Julian Huxley, who's a biologist who allegedly popularized the term transhumanism in his influential essay written in 1957. That's poppycock, people. Whenever you hear of so-and-so popularizing a movement or creating popularized music, for example, what that just means is that the controlled distribution of newspapers, radio, television, film have decided to promote something. Because I can assure you that writing an essay like Ted Kaczynski allegedly did, or maybe he did, or maybe he didn't, which he entitled The Industrial Society and Its Future, then the media renamed it the Manifesto. Anyway, what I'm saying is you have no control over your diaries, your essays, a television script, or some song that you wrote. You have no control over it all, because the people who control the distribution of these ideas, like the Tavistock Institute, for example, or Laurel Canyon Columbia Records and Warner Brothers as another example, is that they will write your music, they will change your lyrics, they will write your lyrics, they will perform with professional studio session artists on your albums, and then they will tell the people that you are a singer-songwriter, like Frank Zappa wasn't. Anyway, artificial intelligence and technological singularity comes into groove by 1965 by cryptologist I.J. Good. He's quoted as saying, "Let the ultra-intelligent machine be defined as a machine that can far surpass all intellectual capabilities of any man, however clever that man may be. Since the design of machines is one of those intellectual activities, an ultra-intellectual machine could be designed that would be the best of all machines, and there would be unquestionably an intelligence explosion, and the intelligence of man would be left far behind. Thus, the first ultra-intelligent machine is the last invention that man will ever need to make. Does this sound like a cult? Does this sound like a crazy cult where there'll be no religion, there'll be no money, they'll just be transhuman bots? All right, look, I can go on and on. I'm going to post this link from Wikipedia regarding transhumanism. But I wanted to tell you that my entire life they've been programming me and setting me up for transhuman agendaism using Twilight Zone episodes by Rod Serling to create the old man in the cave, which turns out after 10 years we realized that it was a HAL Super 9000 computer, and there was no man in a cave. There was no old man, there was no young man in a cave. And it was a Jewish man, Mr. Goldsmith, who survived the transition to computers and then the destruction of the computer. But he lived alone in a faithlessness world. Anyway, I'm not sure what to make of any of these lessons except to say that I am opting out and I'm not participating in the transhumanism. What do you call it? Going viral? Not in my house, it's not. All right, well, anyway, feel free